Imagine being trapped in the middle of the Pacific Ocean with no land in sight, no phone, no way to call for help, and no idea if anyone will ever find you. For most people, surviving a few days alone at sea would be impossible. The hunger, the thirst, the heat, and the endless waves would break even the strongest person. But one fisherman survived something that sounds almost impossible. He spent 438 days drifting across the ocean in a tiny fishing boat, fighting against hunger, loneliness, storms, and the fear that he might never see land again. His name was Jose Salvador Alvarenga. In 2012, Jose was a fisherman living on the coast of Mexico. He made his living by going out into the ocean, catching fish, and bringing them back to shore. He was experienced. He knew the waters. He knew how to survive at sea. But one day, he left for what should have been a normal fishing trip, and everything changed. Jose and his young fishing partner, Ezequiel Cordoba, headed into the Pacific Ocean expecting to return home after a day of work. They had no idea that this trip would become one of the greatest survival stories ever recorded. Because shortly after they left, a powerful storm began to form. The ocean that had once been familiar suddenly became a place of danger. And when the storm arrived, it would take their small fishing boat farther away from home than they ever imagined. A journey that was supposed to last only hours would turn into a fight for survival that lasted more than a year. When the storm finally arrived, Jose and Ezequiel found themselves facing a situation they never expected. Their small fishing boat was damaged. The engine stopped working, their communication equipment was useless, and they were now completely at the mercy of the ocean. They were hundreds of miles away from land, surrounded by nothing but endless water. At first, they believed they would be rescued quickly. They thought someone would find them, or that the storm would pass and they could make their way back home. But day after day passed, and nobody came. Their supplies began running out. The food they brought with them was gone, and they had no way to store fresh water. The ocean that once provided their livelihood had now become their biggest enemy. To stay alive, they had to do things they never imagined. They caught fish with their bare hands, searched the water for anything they could eat, and collected rainwater whenever the clouds appeared. Every day became the same battle: find food, find water, and survive another night. But the hardest part was not knowing how long it would last. A few days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. The sun burned their skin during the day, and the cold ocean winds attacked them at night. They had no map, no engine, and no idea where the currents were taking them. They were just two men in a tiny boat, floating through one of the largest oceans on Earth. And as time passed, survival became more than just a physical challenge. It became a battle against fear, loneliness, and the thought that they might never make it home. As the days turned into months, the ocean continued to test Jose and Ezequiel in ways they never thought possible. Their bodies became weaker. Their clothes became damaged. Their lives became nothing more than a daily struggle to find food, collect water, and survive another day. But the biggest challenge was no longer just the ocean around them. It was the battle happening inside their own minds. After spending months trapped in the same tiny boat, surrounded by nothing but endless water, their hope began to disappear. Ezequiel Cordoba, Jose's fishing partner, started becoming weaker and weaker. The lack of food, the harsh conditions, and the endless days at sea had taken a heavy toll on him. Eventually, after months of fighting for survival, Ezequiel could no longer continue. Jose was now completely alone. Imagine waking up every morning and realizing you are the only person left in the middle of the largest ocean on Earth. No family, no friends, no voices except your own. The loneliness became another enemy he had to fight. To keep himself from losing hope, Jose began talking to himself. He would remember his family, imagine returning home, and convince himself that he could not give up. Some days were easier than others. There were moments when the ocean seemed endless, when the chances of rescue felt impossible, and when continuing seemed too difficult. But every morning, Jose made the same decision. He would survive one more day. He had already lost almost everything, but he still had one thing left: the will to keep going. And after months of drifting alone, with no idea where the currents would take him, Jose's impossible journey was still not over. After more than a year lost at sea, Jose Salvador Alvarenga had survived something that almost nobody believed was possible. He had survived storms, hunger, dehydration, and the loneliness of being completely separated from the world. But after 438 days, something finally changed. One day, after drifting thousands of miles across the Pacific Ocean, Jose saw something he had been dreaming about for over a year. Land. At first, he could hardly believe his eyes. After spending so long surrounded by nothing but endless blue water, seeing an island in the distance felt like a miracle. Using the last bit of strength he had left, Jose guided his small boat toward land. When he finally reached the shore of the Marshall Islands, he was exhausted, weak, and barely recognizable after more than a year at sea. But he was alive. Local people were shocked when they saw him. A man who had disappeared for over a year had suddenly appeared on their island. At first, many people struggled to believe his story. How could someone survive 438 days in a tiny fishing boat? How could a person live for more than a year with no shelter, no supplies, and no way to communicate? But investigations into his journey showed that his story was possible. Ocean currents could have carried him thousands of miles across the Pacific, allowing him to survive one of the longest open ocean survival stories ever recorded. Jose's story became a reminder of the incredible strength of the human spirit. Because sometimes survival is not about being the strongest person. Sometimes it is about having the courage to face one more day, even when the odds are completely against you. A simple fishing trip that was supposed to last only hours became a 438-day battle between one man and the ocean. And somehow, against all odds, Jose Salvador Alvarenga came home. If you make it to the end of the video, I want you to like, subscribe, and share. Also comment down below what type of videos you want to see next video.